Good day everyone. Welcome to the lecture series on power electronics. In this session we shall discuss three-phase half-wave control rectifier operation with continuous load current. So let us consider a single three-phase half-wave rectifier supplying power to highly inductive load. I assume that the load is highly inductive in nature, so that current is continuous. And further, I also assume that it is very highly inductive in nature, so that current is ripple free. Load current is ripple free. It is almost constant throughout the period. So I naught instantaneous value of load current is assumed to be constant. So its average value and RMS values are going to be equal. And of course, there are two modes of operation of this particular converter. So that is in converting mode, other one is inverting mode, second one is inverting mode. First let us see the operation in converting mode, that is in rectifier mode, and it is possible for alpha ranging from 0 to 90 degrees. In case firing angle is belong to this particular range 0 to 90 degrees, then so it will act as a rectifier. This converter would be operated in rectifier mode. Okay, so I'm sorry, here this current is same as IA, so let me make this correction, a small correction here. So current through this thyristor is same as A phase current, and here it is B phase current, and here it is C phase current. Okay, this is small correction, please make a note of it. Anyway, so let us proceed. So now current is assumed to be ripple free, so because load is highly inductive in nature. Now alpha is taken 0 to 90 degrees. So for simplicity, let me take alpha is equal to 60 degrees. That is pi by 3 radians. Now we know without, in case of alpha is equal to 0, this is the instant when this thyristor is going to turn on. If alpha is equal to 0, thyristor would turn on at this would turn on at this instant, and thyristor 2 after 120 degrees, and thyristor 3 after 120 degrees, further after 120 degrees, and so on. Now if now at this instant T1 is forward biased, but we can see that alpha is not 0. I have triggered, let me assume that I am triggering this thyristor 1 at this particular instant. Okay, that alpha I have taken for simplicity 60 degrees, so pi by 6 plus pi by 3, that is pi by 2 radians, or 30 plus 60, that is 90 degrees. At this instant thyristor 1 is triggered, and load is assumed to be continuous. So at this instant thyristor 1 would conduct, and the load current would flow from source to the thyristor 1, and then load and coming back to the source. This is the path of the current. So this is the current path. So load current is same as phase A source current. So both are equal during this period. And thyristor 1 is conducting, so the voltage across thyristor assumed to be 0, load voltage would be same as source voltage, that is voltage VA during this period, that is from pi by 6 plus alpha to 5 pi by 6 plus alpha. During this period source voltage is same as load voltage, that is in fact voltage VA is same as the source load voltage. So that is what indicated here graphically, you can see. And during this interval of time, so T1 is conducting. So T1 is conducting, so source current is same as thyristor 1 current is same as load current during this period. Now after this instant, so you can see at pi by 6 plus alpha, at this instant T2 is triggered. So let me assume that firing is applied, gate signal is applied for T2, so which was already forward bias. So that would come into conduction, and current through load would be shifted from T1 to T2. So this is incoming thyristor and T1 is outgoing thyristor. So load current would be transferred from outgoing thyristor to incoming thyristor. So that is T2 in this case. And what about T1? T1 is reverse biased. You can see that voltage across this particular, you can see voltage across thyristor 1 would be same as VAB. So because thyristor 2 is conducting, here terminal voltage at this particular terminal is VB. So voltage across this thyristor would be VA minus VB, and VA, you can see VB is more than VA at this instant itself. And coming to this instant where T2 is triggered, by the time, so this VA is much lower than VB, so VAB is negative. This is going to be reverse biased. So thyristor 1 would be reverse biased by incoming thyristor, and current would be transferred from outgoing thyristor to incoming thyristor. This is the operation for next 2π/3 radians or 120 degrees. So during this period, so T2 is conducting, V0 is same as VB, right? And load current is assumed to be constant, and that would flow through T2. Now what happens at this instant? So that is 3π/2 plus alpha. So at this instant, already forward bias thyristor, that is T3, is triggered. Gate signal is applied to T3, and that would comes into conduction, and load current would be shifted from T2 to T3, and this T2 would be reverse biased by this incoming thyristor. This is known as outgoing thyristor, and this is known as incoming thyristor. So incoming thyristor would reverse bias the outgoing thyristor. It stops conducting. Current would be transferred. Load current would be transferred from outgoing thyristor to incoming thyristor. And during this interval of time, you can see by applying the KVL for this conducting path, you can see that load voltage would be same as the VC, voltage VC, and load current is same as the source current, that is IC, and it is also equal to thyristor current. So during this period, load voltage would be same as the VC, that is shown with this black curve during this interval, and thyristor T3 would conduct. So this is the operation for 2π radians. You can see for one complete cycle of the power supply, input supply voltage, there are 3 cycles. You can see it is repeating, it is repeating for every 2π/3 radians. For every 120 degrees, the waveform is repeating. In fact, you can observe that the frequency of output voltage is 3 times the frequency of supply voltage. So if somebody wants to find out average value or RMS value of output voltage, so it is sufficient to find out mathematical expression for output voltage for this 2π/3 radians only, because it is repeating, it is periodic, and it is repeating for every 2π/3 radians. So find out mathematical expression for only this 2π/3 radians, and then find out the average and RMS value of the output voltage. And anyway, output current is the ripple free, so average current is same as the RMS value of the output current. So you can find out average value, and that is same as the RMS value. Okay, assuming that load is highly inductive in nature. Now this is the operation for 1 2π radians. So that is for one cycle of the supply voltage. Now same thing will repeat for remaining cycles also. You can see at this instant onwards, again T1 would comes into conduction, and load voltage would be same as the VA, source voltage VA. So same thing will repeat for remaining cycles also. Now if you find out average value, you can see output voltage is more positive than the negative. Of course you have negative value for load voltage also, but if you find out average value, and on average it would have a positive value. So average value of voltage would be positive. Of course we are going to derive the formula, and from the formula also you will see that for alpha ranging from 0 to 90 degrees, load voltage would be positive. And load current is always positive, as thyristors are unidirectional switches, so current should be only in this direction. And output voltage also with this polarity, so always it must be positive. If you find out the power absorbed by the load, that is positive. So load is absorbing power, source, so it should get supply. It should get the power or energy from the source. So power supply is from AC side to DC side. So it would be operated. It is operated. This circuit, converter circuit, would be operated in rectifier mode for alpha ranging from 0 to 90 degrees. So coming to the voltage across thyristor, so because it is important to know what is the peak inverse voltage that appear across each thyristor, and also it is important to find out circuit turn off time. So let us try to find out that for at least for the circuit. Now I will try to draw the voltage across thyristor 1 only, because thyristor 2 and thyristor 3 would also have similar kind of wave shape with phase shift of 120 degrees. So finding the thyristor voltage for one thyristor would be sufficient enough to find out peak inverse voltage and the circuit turn off time, because circuit turn off time and peak inverse voltage for all thyristors would be same. Now let us try to find out that. So we know as long as thyristor 1 is conducting, that is during this period, so voltage up across that assumed to be 0 ideally. So that is what's shown here with this red line. And for next 120 degrees or next 2 pi by 3 radians, that is from 5 pi by 6 plus alpha to 3 pi by 2 plus alpha, T2 is conducting, and during this period you can see that voltage across thyristor 1 would be VAB. That is same as VAB. Okay, you can see that it is same as VAB. So VAB is if you find out VAB, that is going to be negative. That is what's shown with the dotted line here. So that is this. So let me show that. So this is VAB during this interval. Now next, at this instant, so from 3 pi by 2 plus alpha, at this instant T3 is came into conduction, and when it is conducting, you can see that voltage at this terminal would be VC. So voltage up across thyristor 1 would be VAC. That is what is shown with this block line. Okay. So now at this particular instant, maybe 13 pi by 6 or so. So at this instant, the voltage across thyristor becoming positive at this instant. Okay, so one has to ensure that thyristor's regain its blocking capability before this instant, and at this instant, that is at 5 pi by 6 plus alpha, thyristor 1 current made 0, that is shifted from this thyristor 1 to thyristor 2. Thyristor current made 0 at this instant, and once it made 0, immediately reverse voltage is applied. So this is the instant where commutation process is started. And as long as thyristor voltage is negative, so commutation process, that suppose the commutation process, and this is the time allowed. So this is the period allowed by the circuit to turn off the thyristor. So this is known as circuit turn off period. And if you find out that value, you can see that is equal to 4 pi by 3 minus alpha radians. And if you want to find out the circuit turn off time in seconds, you can divide this 4 pi by 3 minus alpha by omega, where omega is frequency of supply voltage in radians per second. Similarly, if you find out peak inverse voltage, you can see that peak inverse voltage would be same as VML, that is same as peak value of line voltage, which is equal to root 3 times peak value of the phase voltage. Okay, so this is about the operation of the 3-phase of a rectifier with highly inductive load in rectification mode. Now coming to next mode, that is inverting mode. Yeah. So let me take alpha is greater than 90, so 90 to 180 degrees, I would consider alpha range. And again, I assume that current is ripple free, assuming load is highly inductive in nature. So let me take that. I assume that I0 is constant throughout the period, so its average value, RMS values are going to be equal. Now you can see that this is the instant for alpha is equal to 0 for thyristor 1. But when it is triggered, let me assume that it is triggered at this instant. So I have taken alpha is equal to 120 degrees for simplicity. Now at this instant, thyristor 1 is triggered. Okay. If the thyristor 1 is triggered, you can see that voltage is already positive. No, it is positive, and even though thyristor 2 voltage is also positive, it is not triggered. It is not going to conduct. Thyristor 1 is only going to conduct at this instant onwards. Right. And you can see current would flow in this direction. So load current would be same as the source current IA. I'm sorry again. So here I have mentioned I0. It is not I0. It is IA. So load current would be same as IA, which is same as thyristor 1 current during this interval of period. So during this interval, so that is from pi by 6 plus alpha to 5 pi by 6 plus alpha. So during this interval, so we have thyristor 1 in conduction mode. So that would conduct. Load voltage would be same as VA. So that is what indicated here. You can see load voltage is same as VA. That is source voltage VA. So A phase voltage. And during this interval, T1 is conducting. So T1 is conducting. Now after this instant, that is at pi by 6 plus alpha, T2 is triggered. So T2 would conduct at this instant onwards. And if T2 is conducting, so current would shift from T1 to T2 at this instant. Load voltage would be same as VB. So that is what's shown here. That is what's shown here with this green curve. So load voltage is same as VB voltage. And load current is same as the IB, that is phase B current, which is same as thyristor 2 current. Thyristor 2 is conducting during this period, that is for 120 degrees. Now at this instant, that is at 3 pi by 2 plus alpha, so thyristor 3 is triggered, thyristor 3 is triggered, and load current would be transferred from thyristor 2 to thyristor 3. So this is the path. As thyristor 3 is conducting, load voltage, and applying KVL for this conducting loop, you can find that load voltage would be equal to VC. That is what's shown here. Load voltage is same as VC, which is shown with this black curve. And what about load current? Load current is same as IC, which is same as thyristor 3 current, which is a constant value. Okay, during this period T3 is conducting. And please do remember, so I assume that current is ripple free by considering highly inductive loop. So its average value and RMS values are going to be equal. So this is the operation from pi by 6 plus alpha to 13 pi by 6 plus alpha. So for one complete cycle of the input supply voltage, I explained the operation of this 3-phase half-wave rectifier. Now if you observe carefully, once again you can see that we have 3 pulses. So we have 3 pulses within completion of one cycle of input supply voltage. So it is also known as 3-phase. This is known as 3-pulse converter. So it's 3-pulse converter. Okay, single 3-phase half-wave rectifier with continuous load current or ripple free load current is also known as 3-pulse converter. 3-pulse converter. Now, so if you consider operation for remaining cycles, it is repetitive in nature. So because voltage is going to be periodic, you can see that before T1 is conducting, so T3 would conduct, and when T3 is conducting, load voltage would be same as the VC, and before that T2 is going to conduct, load voltage would be same as VB, and so on. So this is what the operation for one complete, I explained operation for one complete cycle, and of course, so even for remaining cycles, the operation would be remain same. Now, if you observe carefully, you can find that each thyristor is going to conduct for only 1/3 of complete 2 pi radians. Okay, so source current, if you want to find a source current, that is phase A current or phase B current or phase C current. So phase A current or phase C current, phase B or phase C current, so they exist for only 120 degrees. So throughout 360 degrees span, we have one phase current, any one of the phase current existing for only 120 degrees. Okay, please keep this in mind. Now coming to the voltage across thyristor, so in order to find out the peak inverse voltage or circuit turnout time, it is important to know what would be the shape of the voltage across thyristor. So let you try to find out that also. Now we know thyristor 1 is conducting from pi by 6 to pi by 6 plus alpha, pi by 6 alpha to 5 pi by 6 plus alpha. So during this period, voltage across thyristor would be 0, and for next 120 degrees, voltage across thyristor would be same as the VAB, that is what's shown here, and next 120 degrees, so thyristor 3 is going to conduct, voltage across thyristor 1 would be same as VAC. So that is what's shown here, and we know once thyristor 1 current made 0, immediately reverse voltage is applied at this instant, and this reverse voltage exists for during this interval of time only. So this period is corresponding to circuit turn off time, that is time allowed by the circuit to device to turn off. So that is known as circuit turn off time, and you can find out the peak inverse voltage would be same as VML sin alpha. Okay, sin alpha, that you can find out. Okay, so that you can find out anyway. So this magnitude would be same as peak inverse voltage, and circuit turn off time would be same as 4 pi by 3 minus alpha again. Now here, if you see the average value of output voltage, you can see it is more of negative. For alpha ranging from 90 to 180 degrees, the average voltage found to be negative. It is less than 0. Voltage is negative and current must be positive all the time. So in this particular case, if you find out the power absorbed by load, that is going to be negative. So what does it mean? So in this case, load is not taking power, instead it is giving back the power, it is giving power to the load. So power is supplied from the DC side, that is load side, to source side. So in this particular mode of operation, circuit side to be or converter side to be operated in inverting mode. For alpha ranging from 90 to 180 degrees, so circuit side to be operated in inverting mode, because power is supplied from DC side to AC side. And this is possible if and only if you have a battery existing in this load with the negative polarity, that is the polarity of battery would be reversed with respect to polarity given for the load voltage. So that voltage across battery, you should have battery, and battery voltage should be this way. So that is this way. So then only inverting mode would be possible. Otherwise, load voltage must be positive all the time, in which case, so there is only one mode is possible for operation, that is rectification mode. Okay, so you must have this kind of active load with the voltage polarity opposite to that of the conventional polarity that is taken for the expression of the operation. Now, so let us try to find out output voltage and current average and RMS values. And we know in both cases, that is for alpha less than 90 degrees and alpha greater than 90 degrees. So in rectification mode and in inverting mode operation, in both cases, V0 would follow this kind of expression, right? So for pi by 6 plus alpha to pi by 6 plus alpha, we have seen V0 is same as VA, which is equal to VMP sin omega t, where VMP is peak value of the phase voltage, right? So this is possible because the load current is continuous. Now let you try to find out the average value. So you need to consider only 2 pi by 3 radians only in order to compute the average value. So find out expression for only this 2 pi by 3 radians and use that to compute average value. So integrate this with respect to d omega t and divide this with 2 pi by 3, you get the average value. And if you find out and if you simplify this mathematical expression, you would get that is equal to 3 root 3 VMP by 2 pi into cos alpha. So this is the final mathematical expression for output average voltage, and that if you simplify that further, you can write it this way also. It is equal to 3 into VML by 2 pi into cos alpha, where this 3 VML this is same as peak voltage of line. Okay, it is peak value of line to line voltage. What is alpha? Alpha is firing angle, so that may be in degrees or maybe in radians. Okay, if you want to use that in radians, so please see that your calc is put in radians mode. If you want to solve one problem and if alpha is given in degrees, you should be very careful. Okay, you should be careful with the mode of your calculator that you are using to compute average and RMS values. Now coming to RMS value again, so you have to square the voltage and you have to take its mean and you have to apply square root. So let you do that, and if you simplify that further, you get, so this is the RMS voltage, that is VML into square root 1 upon 6 plus root 3 upon 8 pi into cos 2 alpha. So here VML again, it is peak value of line to line voltage, alpha is firing angle. Now coming to average value of the output current, so assuming load is inductive highly inductive nature, and let me in order to generalize, let me take it as RLE load. In this particular case, I0 is equal to V0 minus E by R, where V0 is average value of output voltage, E is battery voltage, R is resistance that is present in the load. So this is the expression, mathematical expression for the average current. Now we have made assumption, current is ripple free. Under this particular assumption, so IOR is same as I0. RMS value of load current is same as average value of load current. So that way one can compute the average value and RMS value of the output currents for ripple free nature of the load current. Now next one, coming to the source current. So source current is same as thyristor current. For example, if I take A phase, So A phase current would be same as the thyristor 1 current. Similarly, B phase current is same as thyristor 2 current, and C phase current is same as thyristor thyristor 3 current. Now we know that each thyristor would be conducting for only 120 degrees. So you can see, if I consider output current, that is load current. So for if I consider 360 degrees, in 360 degrees, so for first 120 degrees T1 is conducting, for next 120 T2, and then so next 120 T3. So this is the way we have the load current flowing through various thyristors. Now for example, if I want to find out only phase A current, so source current RMS value or average value, then you have to consider only one phase at a time. So this is the source current for phase A. So now if you find out phase A current, that is same as thyristor 1 current, and that would exist for pi by 6 plus alpha to 5 pi by 6 plus alpha. So if I consider 2 pi radians, so only for 2 pi by 3 radians we have the current flowing through thyristor 1. And if you find out the average value, so source average current is same as thyristor average current for this particular case for half wave rectifier. And if you find out if you simplify further, you would see that value would be equal to I naught by 3, that is 1/3 of the load current. It makes sense because load is the current through thyristor would be flowing through the load also for only 1/3 period of overall cycle. So it makes some sense. So it is I naught by 3. Similarly, RMS value would be I naught by root 3. So you can derive it. So I naught by root 3. Of course, I naught is same as IOR also in this case. So you can also write it as IOR by root 3. IOR and I naught both are equal because current is ripple free. So for simplicity, I have written it as I naught by root 3, assuming that load is ripple free. Load is not ripple free, this expression may not be valid. Okay. So you have to verify. So may be valid, may not be valid. You have to cross check. Now the next important parameter that one is interested usually in order to evaluate performance of the rectifier is input power factor, and we know formula for that is power supply by source by input VA, which is also equal to power consumed by load by input VA for this particular case, because there are no other elements which can take power, assuming thyristors are ideal. So load only takes the power supplied by the load. So power consumed by load by input VA also same as input power factor. Now input power absorbed by load, let me indicate by P naught, and input VA is same as 3 times VA rating of each phase, VA of each phase. So 3 into VPH into IPH, where VPH is RMS value of supply voltage, IPH is RMS value of supply current. And what is P naught usually for RLE load? P naught is equal to power absorbed by the resistor plus power absorbed by battery, and IPH, that is the source average current, would be same as IOR by root 3, that is RMS value of output current by root 3, right? So substituting them in the formula of input power factor, we get that is equal to IOR square into R plus E into I naught by root 3 into VLIL. Of course, 3 into VPH and IPH would be same as root 3 into VL into IL for the star connection. Okay. Now, so anyway, our case is ripple free current. No, so in case current is ripple free, you can write P naught as V naught into I naught. Right? IOR square is same as I naught square into R. So E into I naught. So if you simplify further, you would get, so this is equal to V naught into I naught. So further, you can simplify input power factor for ripple free current case this way, that is V naught into I naught by root 3 into VL into IL. So what is V naught? Average value of output current. I naught is average, V naught is average value of output voltage. I naught is average value of output current. VL is source line to line voltage, RMS value. IL is RMS value of the line current, which is same as the phase current also for star connection. So this way one can compute input power factor also. So what if E is 0? For example, instead of RL load, if I take RL load simply, so then you put E is equal to 0. So put this E is equal to 0 and compute input power factor. So that way one can find out input power factor for 3-phase half wave rectifier for RL or RLE load. Assuming that input power factor output current is ripple free, you can use this formula directly to compute input power factor. So this is about the operation of three-phase half-wave rectifier. So one of the important observations that you have to remember is that for alpha less than 90 degrees or alpha ranging from 0 to 90 degrees, three-phase half-wave rectifier would be operated in rectifier mode. And alpha ranging from 90 to 180 degrees, so the same rectifier would be operated in inverting mode. So that would be operated in inverter mode. Okay, so please keep this in mind. Okay, yeah. So thank you. In next class we shall see the three-phase full converter. Okay, and try to solve as many problems as you can on this particular concept. Thank you.